What is up? GoodMicWork back at you, finally up here to talk about this past Monday Night Raw and our brand new WWE Champion, Roman Reigns. What a show, huh? Holy shit. It amazes me how bad WWE can suck sometimes and how we can literally, I'm saying literally, fall asleep during Monday Night Raw, and then they can turn right around and hand us a beautiful show like this and a downtime of the year, December, when everything sucks. If Raw could be like this every week, I think we would all be happy. It seems to me that WWE will do this from time to time. Whenever people start getting really loud and really complaining hard about the WWE and how shitty the product is, they can usually pull a great Raw out of their ass. We've had this situation occur a couple of times this year alone. And on top of that, when you think about how bad the ratings were, WWE needed to do something. They needed to come through with a great show. And this show had everything. The undercard was fantastic. We had great hardcore action, a great arcing storyline that started from the beginning of the show and lasted all the way to the main event, the return of Mr. McMahon, which really got everybody excited because you had a feeling it was going to be a big Raw. The announcement of a WWE title match in the main event with a major stipulation that means something big has got to go down. It can't be a schmoz or a BS bullshit ending this time. Something big has to happen. They set it up wonderfully and beautifully, and on one hand, I want to praise the WWE for giving us such an exciting Monday Night Raw, but on the other hand, I want to say, what the fuck have you been doing for the past few weeks? I'd almost rather have mediocre Raws across the board than a whole bunch of shitty Raws and then getting blindsided with a 5-star show. Just a little consistency is all I ask from the WWE, and you have to wonder if they're going to be able to keep up this pace next week. Generally speaking, when we see a big, exciting Monday Night Raw like this, it's really hard to follow it up the week after. So we'll have to see what goes down next week. Luckily, they have left a few cliffhangers for us, and we're going to discuss all of that, all of the happenings on Monday Night Raw, and all in all, a great ride that they took us on. I highly enjoyed the show. I noticed I jumped a couple of hundred subscribers in the last few days, so those of you who are new, welcome aboard. Thank you for subscribing. Those of you who haven't yet subscribed, please do. If you make it to the end of this video and you like what you hear, please give that like button a click. I have a website, GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com, where you can view this YouTube video and also download an MP3 of this commentary to listen to at your convenience. If you have the iTunes or Stitcher app, you can find me on there as well. Like me on Facebook, and of course follow me on Twitter. I've always got shit to say on both of those social media sites. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. Like I said, fantastic show from top to bottom. There was very little about the show that I did not like compared to previous weeks where 90% of the show was just crap. Now, after what we saw go down at TLC, I predicted that Sheamus would retain the WWE title in that TLC match against Roman Reigns with help from his friends, the newly formed faction of the League of Nations. You knew that was going to play out and stretch over into the next Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns was furious after he lost that match, and the brutal beatdown that he laid on Triple H to close out TLC. You knew the show was going to open with something regarding the Roman Reigns and Triple H situation. Stephanie, as expected, does make her way out to the ring first to open up the show. She was alone. Triple H was off of TV selling the injury. She gets on the mic and she's pissed, and it's so funny. I think Stephanie's a hot, beautiful woman, but when she's mad and she has that horrible, yelling, screaming, screeching voice, you know what I'm talking about? It could make a strap-on go limp. Jesus Christ, she is hideous sounding when she's pissed off. She ends up calling out Roman Reigns, of course, to the ring. He comes down through the crowd, gets in the ring with Stephanie, and she starts giving him shit. Roman turned the tables on her and actually cuts a pretty decent promo back at her, calling the entire McMahon family a disgrace, even shouts out his own daughter JoJo, who apparently it was her birthday on that day. Stephanie, in her ranting and raving, goes on to say that she wants to fire him, but Triple H told her not to, so she can't, but there's somebody on his way to the arena who can, and her father, Vince McMahon, is going to be making his return to Monday Night Raw, his first appearance in over a year, apparently, and he is going to deal with Roman Reigns when he gets there. Stephanie then goes on to slap Roman Reigns several times, just bitch slaps him over and over and over. He just takes it, looks at her, and smiles, and they go to commercial break. Now, when Vince McMahon does arrive at the arena, they're right in the middle of an R-Truth and Bo Dallas match. The match is just getting underway, or is actually just about to start, and they shoot to the back where the camera is in the garage and a limousine pulls up, and Vince McMahon steps out of the limousine and starts storming towards the ring. Bo Dallas and R-Truth try to start their match, and then all of a sudden, right in the middle of the match, Vince McMahon's music hits, and he comes storming down to the ring. Demands that the two wrestlers get out of the ring. He gets on the mic and says, "Roman Reigns, I'm going to make you sweat it out before I fire you." Goes on the outside of the ring, sits down in the timekeeper's chair, and we break to commercial. We come back. Vince is still there. He ends up getting in the ring and finally calling out Roman Reigns. And in the extremely rare, I don't even know if I've ever seen this, you guys can correct me, has Roman Reigns ever made an entrance down the aisleway or down the ramp? I've been saying for the longest time that I'm not a fan of the fan entrance. I would hate it if I was a wrestler that had that gimmick that had to come through the people all the time. You're almost at a disadvantage. Yeah, I'm sure you got a producer or a director or somebody there with you, but it's not like being a gorilla where you've got everyone around you. You can get last-minute instructions, get yourself ready, you're psyched up a little bit better for your segment or match. Coming through the people has got to be a big pain in the ass. So Roman Reigns comes down to the ramp this time, gets in the ring with Vince. Vince is all in his face and giving him shit and says that he's going to kick his ass. 70-year-old Vince McMahon starts taking his jacket off. "I'm going to kick your ass right here, Roman Reigns. You don't think I can do it?" Pretty funny shit and a decent response by Roman Reigns. He's like, "Come on, dude, you're 70 years old. It would be the biggest mistake of your life to come after me in a fight." Vince is still convinced anyway that he can kick the shit out of Roman Reigns, so he starts taking his suit jacket off, and he's about to engage Roman Reigns when Sheamus's music hits. He comes out to the stage, tells Vince McMahon that he doesn't want Vince to harm Roman Reigns. He wants to be the one to beat him and humiliate him, and actually issues a challenge to Roman Reigns. Vince kind of liked the idea and decided to make the match, but only with a major stipulation. WWE title on the line, Sheamus versus Roman Reigns in the main event of Monday Night Raw. If Roman Reigns loses, he's fired. And Vince got right in his face and did the whole "you're fired" line. And they set themselves up with a great main event later on in the night. Now, Twitter was going crazy during this. I saw people that were convinced that Roman Reigns would be winning the title, and I saw other people that were convinced that he would not be. I originally thought that he would not. To me, it seemed more likely that he was going to get screwed over again. Vince was going to get his revenge on Roman Reigns for beating the hell out of his son-in-law the night before. They were going to fuck him over and get him fired, and, Triple H would probably wind up bringing him back so they could set up their big WrestleMania match or whatever they're going to do with each other. To me, that made a lot of sense, but on the other side of that coin, the ratings have been in the shitter, as we've talked about, and the WWE needed to do something about that, and I think a title change was a nice way to do it. It's been a long time since the WWE title has changed hands on Raw, and the ratings and the interest in WWE could never use it more than it needs it right now. So when I weighed all those factors, I was starting to think, yeah, I can totally see Roman Reigns winning. Now, the main event itself was more great shit. Roman Reigns and Sheamus had a great brawl, of course. Vince McMahon is at ringside for this thing to help ensure that Roman Reigns does not win. They had some really good near falls in this thing, including the one where the referee goes 2 9.999 of a 3 count on Sheamus when Vince McMahon snatches the referee right out of the ring and stops the count. The fans were getting into it. I mean, Roman Reigns did not seem like that boring babyface that everybody hates during this Monday Night Raw or during this match. The WWE finally used their fucking heads and booked this guy in a way where everybody was cheering him. The entire crowd wanted to see that guy win the title on Monday night, the same guy that's been booed out of the building forever. At least everybody in the crowd in Philadelphia wanted to see that. And Philadelphia, incidentally, was the same town that the Royal Rumble was in. And we remember how the fans reacted that night to Roman Reigns' big victory. And the announcers were making mention of that it was in the same city. And Roman Reigns really, truly did come full circle because those fans shit all over his Royal Rumble victory. And here, 11 months later, he's winning the WWE title in the same building, and the fans are going nuts for it. So it was a really feel-good moment for Roman. But I think all of this was really executed to perfection, and it's really the best WWE could do. It was really their best effort to have Roman Reigns have his moment and win the WWE title without the fans losing their mind. They did a great job of booking this storyline and getting Roman Reigns over in the proper way. He had sympathy. Fans felt for the guy. Fans could, live vicariously through that. Man, if that was me and I was getting fucked over so many times, I'd beat the fucking hell out of my boss too. To see Roman Reigns destroy Triple H the way he did, and then to see him interact with Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon, the entire McMahon family trying to hold him down, but he's so resilient and keeps fighting back, and no matter what they were throwing at him in the main event, whether it was Vince McMahon interrupting what would have been a sure 3 count or distracting the referee while Rusev and Alberto Del Rio came out and attacked Roman Reigns, he also overcame that, ended up fighting the two of them off, getting back in the ring, brawling some more with Sheamus, including taking 1 or 2 more brogue kicks and a couple of really close near falls. He's busted open. We have blood. Are you fucking kidding me? On Monday Night Raw in a WWE title match? This is great. And then the cherry on top to cap it all off, just when you think WWE or Vince McMahon is going to do something to fuck over Roman Reigns, he goes flying through the air and nails Vince with the fucking Superman punch. Vince actually sells it well. It looked like it was delivered well. It didn't look like shit. Vince fell down, completely unconscious, laying on the ring apron, allowing Roman Reigns to nail Sheamus with a spear and get the 1, 2, 3 and become the brand new WWE champion, and the crowd popped. The crowd fucking popped. So happy for Roman Reigns. All I wanted for this guy was for him to be accepted. Now, I know he's not necessarily accepted yet because the WWE can turn right around and resume the type of booking that they were doing with him, and the fans can jump right back up his ass and start hating him again. But at least for this night, for December 14th, Monday Night Raw, 2015, when he won the WWE title, the crowd was behind him, and the crowd was happy to see it, and it was a moment that Roman Reigns deserves, because when you think about how hard he's worked and all of the shit that he's gone through, he's got to go out there night after night and have the fans crap on his face. The same fans that he's walking through every night, a good portion of them are booing him. So for him to win the WWE title and for the fans not to shit on it, I'm happy for Roman. I'm happy for him personally, because he didn't deserve what happened to him at the Royal Rumble. You know, I really didn't like, I mean, even though I understood the fans' frustration, I didn't like almost how they were taking it out on him, and I thought, I felt bad for him almost. And what I really didn't want to see is whenever he did win the WWE title, for the fans literally to fling poo into the ring. I didn't want to see that either. So Roman Reigns getting this moment in this type of match the way he did with this storyline, I thought was great. I thought it was wonderful. Congrats to him. He's now a 2-time WWE champion. His first reign only lasted, like Sheamus said, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. This one is not a guarantee that it's going to continue, because don't forget, he did Superman punch Vince McMahon. He did damn near murder Triple H the night before. So you gotta wonder if those actions are possibly going to nullify his title reign. Are they going to do something else on Monday Night Raw? I know SmackDown is coming on Thursday. Something is going to go down there where they're going to address it. But I have a feeling what the big news that we're waiting for will happen this Monday night on Raw. Part of me wonders if they could strip Roman Reigns of the title, or maybe put him in a rematch situation with Sheamus to where the deck is incredibly stacked against him. You have Vince McMahon and Triple H right now, who in storyline have side-by-side hospital beds. Certainly they're not going to take this laying down for too long, and they're going to do something to exact revenge on Roman Reigns. So you have to wonder how long his title reign is going to last and what this means for the Royal Rumble. That's the next big pay-per-view coming up. So what do we see? Do we see Roman Reigns against Sheamus again for the WWE title at the Royal Rumble, maybe with a whole bunch of stipulations? Or do we see Roman Reigns versus Triple H? Could Triple H actually get a title shot? Or was this just a temporary fix to the ratings? They gave the fans a great show and Roman Reigns a great moment, and then they wind up taking the belt back off of him again and giving it back to Sheamus. I would like to think that that would not happen, but it could. WWE is not above doing retarded things. They can immediately revert back to this at any moment, whenever they want. I certainly hope not. I would like to think that this title reign by Roman Reigns is legit, and it's not going to end any earlier than it should without him losing it in an actual match. And plus, you don't really want to play hot potato with the belt that much this close to WrestleMania. You kind of want to have a long reigning champion going into the big show. So as far as I'm concerned, Roman Reigns needs to be WWE champion until WrestleMania. Hopefully, WWE will figure out a way to do that, because I don't want to see him lose it and then win it back or something like that. It doesn't need to change hands 3 or 4 times, in just a couple of months span. You don't want to do that with WrestleMania right around the corner. So Roman Reigns, like I said, at this point, I think he should go into Mania as champion to face a big challenger. The winner of the Royal Rumble could be anybody, could be Brock. I've said in several commentaries that I would have no problem at all with a Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns rematch because I loved the match they had last year. And it could set up an interesting situation if that rematch did in fact take place because, you know, Brock might win the belt. And if he did that as a heel against Roman Reigns, I don't know. The whole thing is way up in the air, but a rematch between those two guys I really would not mind seeing. And you still got to wonder if one day we are going to get the Roman Reigns heel turn. A lot of people thought everything we saw on Monday Night Raw was a big lead-in to the McMahons pulling the ultimate ruse on everybody, making it seem like they hated Roman Reigns and then all along he was their corporate guy, but that did not happen. But I suppose it could still happen in the future. There's many different directions this could go, way too many to speculate on. We'll limit the speculation at this point to the Royal Rumble. And Roman Reigns, I guess, his opponent is only going to be one of two guys. It's either going to be Sheamus or it's going to be Triple H. Or he could be in the Royal Rumble match itself if they wind up taking the belt off of him before then. So there's a lot of questions still to be answered, but for now, I'm going to enjoy the Monday Night Raw that we saw, and I'm going to look back on that with great fondness, and very happy for Roman Reigns. Congrats again. And they didn't stop there. WWE didn't just give us one great main event storyline and match. The whole fucking show was great. And it was highlighted by one fantastic 8-man tag team Extreme Rules match between the entire Wyatt family and the Dudley Boys and Tommy Dreamer and Rhino. This was a rematch from TLC, but this one was 10 times better. It was all over the arena, great brawling everywhere. The ECW guys even cut a promo earlier on in the night backstage for the Philadelphia crowd, talking about their history in that city and the legacy of ECW and all the blood, sweat, and tears they have laid down in that town. And then they come out there in that match with the Wyatt family. I don't even give a shit that the Wyatt family won. Who cares? That was a beautiful thing to watch. That's the type of brawling and table bumps that I like to see when it's necessary. You know, the Wyatt family feud is pretty heated. Then when you think about the fact that they are in Philadelphia, they want to do something special for that crowd. It's nice to know that they're not ignoring the history and the legacy of ECW, considering you got a couple of ECW guys on the roster still to this day. So they played on that and had the big hardcore match. And who was it? Tommy Dreamer and Luke Harper took the big table bump off of the stage. They were all into the crowd. They were taking out barricades, tons of tables, announce table shit. I mean, you name it, they did it. The crowd was jizzing themselves. This is awesome chants out the ass. Just a lot of electricity. That's just what I noticed and enjoyed about this Raw the most, is that you just had this feeling right from the start that there was just something in the air. It was brewing. And to have this match in front of that crowd, the ECW legacy is getting older and older, and there's going to come a time where all these guys are going to be too old, and the fans are even going to be too old, and they're too young now to really remember ECW at all. All they can do is learn from it from tape. It's getting farther and farther away in the distant past, so the fact that we can still get a little throwback to ECW here and there, especially in Philadelphia, to me was a really nice treat, and the 8-man tag was awesome. Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler also had a pretty awesome match. It ended in a disqualification, however, when Kevin Owens showed up and interfered, got Dean Ambrose disqualified by attacking Dolph Ziggler first. Now, Dean Ambrose, as we all know, won the IC belt at TLC. And when you think about it, Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns are both title holders now. Wouldn't you say they're almost like the modern-day two dudes with attitudes? Remember when Shawn and Diesel had the IC and the world strap and they were hanging out together and they were buddies? I can almost see Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns kind of having that same sort of a thing. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they started, marketing them as that, because then when they do that, I mean, they're already Shield brothers. We know that. They've been friends for years on WWE TV. But, the two dudes with attitudes was the first thing I thought of with Shawn and Diesel. And if they did something like that, this could definitely lead to a future match between the two of them. And the Shield has ruled the fucking WWE. Dean Ambrose is now the only guy that has not won the world title. So that's a built-in, sewn-in future storyline that they can do when Dean Ambrose, who's the current Intercontinental Champion, wants to take on his big buddy. Maybe there's a title-for-title match at WrestleMania 32, much like there was at WrestleMania 6. Eventually these two guys are going to have to work a program together. They've already teased it. They had to have the match at Survivor Series. They met in the finals for the world title. There's going to be something there in the future, and Dean Ambrose will go head-to-head with Roman Reigns, I believe, one day for the world crown. It's almost inevitable. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying them as baby faces and friends, and it's cool to see Dean with the IC strap and Roman Reigns with the world title. I hope these guys can get some TV time together with both of the belts, and maybe they'll even do that match. Remember when Shawn and Diesel, see if I can think of the year here. I want to say it's 95. It was an In Your House, September probably, and it was I forgot what it was called, Triple Crown match or something like that, but it was Owen and Yoko defending the tag team titles against Intercontinental Champion Shawn and WWE Champion Diesel, but the two of their belts were on the line as well. So if Owen pinned Shawn, he's the new Intercontinental Champion. So you got to think if they'll do a match like that, possibly, maybe it's New Day versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose for the tag team titles. And then you put the tag belts on the two of those guys as well. I know that's probably overkill, that's too much, but you know what a Shield mark I was. I loved that faction, and to see all three of those guys be so successful. When you think about what Seth Rollins has done as well, he reached the top of the mountain, won the WWE title at WrestleMania, had a long reign, and it was only shortened due to injury. He had huge success in the WWE. Roman Reigns is now the man, and Dean Ambrose, of course, is still going strong. So between the three of them, they have won a shitload of titles in the WWE since coming in to the main roster. But anyway, I digress. Back to Dean Ambrose. He, of course, is going to continue his feud with Kevin Owens. Owens interfered in the match, wound up getting Dean Ambrose disqualified, and ended up beating the shit out of Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. And I got to say, Dean Ambrose sells the pop-up powerbomb marvelously. It looked awesome when he took it. And then Kevin Owens powerbombed Dolph Ziggler on top of Dean Ambrose, who was already down in the mat. So Owens looked like the man on Monday night. He's obviously pissed off, wants his belt back, and these two guys are going to have some sort of a rematch on television or the Royal Rumble or something. This feud isn't over yet. I'm glad to see that Dean Ambrose did hold on to this belt past Monday Night Raw. I was wondering if maybe he would drop the belt back to Kevin Owens because of what I mentioned in my TLC reaction video. Is that was the title change that I expected to happen, because all of the other matches I was predicting, a lot of heels were winning, a lot of titles were being retained. Somebody had to fall somewhere, and Kevin Owens was really the only logical guy. So I thought WWE gave Dean the title more for that reason, and they could very well take it off of him almost right away. But hopefully he'll hang on to it for a while. I'd like to see him continue his program with Kevin Owens. These two guys have one or two more matches, at least one of them on a pay-per-view. And then if Dean Ambrose can hang on to the belt, maybe Kevin Owens can do what I've been mentioning in the past couple of commentaries, and that is just move up a notch, because the roster is weak right now. They need some more major players, and I think Kevin Owens has all the tools as far as in the ring and on the mic. He can be another big star for them, so if he doesn't wind up winning that belt back and he moves on to more main event type of stuff, I'm fine with it. I'm pretty much fine with whatever they decide to do with Kevin Owens, because if he does regain the Intercontinental title, I love everybody's idea of having a Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. I am highly on board with that idea. So if that match winds up happening, I think that could be a modern-day Savage and Steamboat. Just have a really, really great match on the undercard for the Intercontinental title. The match is extremely sexy on paper, and I think could be great for that big Dallas crowd. So I'd be fine if they went in that direction too. Let's see, what else did we see as far as matches go? We saw Del Rio and Rusev win a tag match over Jack Swagger and Ryback. Nothing special there. Neville took on Tyler Breeze in a pretty good match. Neville ended up winning that. The Miz was out there acting as, some sort of a director. They do a backstage segment with him and Neville where I guess he's trying to mentor Neville. He wants Neville to teach him how to do a British accent or some shit. Makes fun of his big floppity sloppity ears, which was pretty funny. But I don't understand the alliance between these two. Neville does not seem that into The Miz, but The Miz is persistent and wants to hang around him. So this weird-ass alliance I don't know much about, nor do I care much about. Becky and Charlotte were back together as a tag team to take on Brie and Alicia. Ric Flair came out with the two of them. Now, the announcers kept making mention that Becky, of course, doesn't like this new attitude in Charlotte. It's just, they just don't, they book these divas like such ass sometimes. I don't understand. Becky Lynch should want nothing to do with Charlotte anymore. Charlotte is clearly a heel now. She's had a change of heart. She's had a change in attitude. She's had a whole change in persona. There's no reason for her to hang around Becky anymore. They already had a match a couple of weeks ago where Charlotte cheated to win. It's just like the Paige shit. When she cut the big promo and the pipe bomb on Charlotte and Becky and turned heel, they still teamed up with each other like 2 or 3 weeks on TV after that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And here at this point, Becky and Charlotte should just agree to go their separate ways, but they're still going to be a tag team. Now Becky has her back turned and Ric Flair trips Alicia, and Becky ends up making her tap out. So Ric Flair cheated and helped Charlotte and Becky win, but Becky doesn't know it. And of course, this is going to drag out a couple of more weeks. Sooner or later, Becky's going to get fed up, and then you're going to have a Becky versus Charlotte match. Now, if they're pushing Charlotte as the big monster diva heel who's the champion, nobody can upend her. She could be better at being Nikki Bella than Nikki Bella was. I'm actually all for it. I like the fact that Ric Flair is out there. Like I mentioned in my last commentary, my only issue with it at all is it just seemed too sudden, and they should have had a gradual transformation into this new character instead of just waking up one day and deciding they wanted to do it. So we'll see what happens on the next couple of WWE TV shows. I'm sure there's going to be more tag matches involved eventually. Becky's probably going to see Ric Flair cheat, and she's going to get pissed about it, and then it's going to drag on another 3 fucking weeks, and eventually we'll have a match between these two ladies. We also heard from our glorious tag team champions who were successful in their title defense at TLC. The New Day comes out there to begin to cut a pretty heartfelt promo. It reminded me back in 1999 after Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys really got on the map in that ladder match, I think at like No Mercy. They came out there the next night on Raw. I think Edge and Christian came out and called out the Hardy Boys and congratulated them on a victory and said they respect them and shook hands, and the crowd stood up and applauded and all of that. It looked like it was going to be that sort of deal. New Day calls out the Lucha Dragons and the Usos, and Xavier Woods cuts what I believe like a half-shoot promo when I think he really truly believed everything he said. But still, the New Day is still the New Day, and once they give all the props to Lucha Dragons and the Usos, and they're sitting there kind of suspect, they're not sure whether or not to believe New Day. After they all shake hands and the Dragons and the Usos are leaving, finally Xavier Woods says, well, even though I meant everything I said, tonight is still about us. Still, you're WWE Tag Team Champions and the whole deal, and they do their gyrating and all of that, and the fans start cheering. The Usos and the Lucha Dragons end up getting pissed, running into the ring and attacking the New Day, and the crowd shits on it, completely starts booing. No matter how heelish New Day acts, the fans are never going to hate these guys. They are fantastic. I could sit there and watch Big E gyrate all day long. I don't know what that means. Maybe I should talk to somebody. I think that is about it for tonight. I do want to mention one tidbit of news that I just read online probably 15 minutes ago. Former head of security for WWE, Jim Dotson, has passed away apparently. He was only 49 years old. Now, for those of you who don't know who he is, he was around the company, I don't even know, maybe 10 years, but probably less than 10 years. I'd say anywhere from 5 to 8 years at least he was in there. And he was this big, jacked up guy. He actually looked a lot like, he was almost like a cross between Rhino and Roman Reigns. He looked a lot like those guys. I mean, he could have been a wrestler. I met him once or twice during the Attitude Era because I was all over the road. I was traveling all over the place going to WWE shows back then. I was able to meet a lot of people, and I met him more than once, and I remember being sad when he left, or I don't know if he was let go. I don't remember how he left the WWE. I don't even remember what year he left, but I always thought that he was pretty awesome, and with a head of security like that, you're definitely not going to be stupid enough to go running into the ring because this guy would murder you. I don't even know the details of how he died. He seems pretty young. Poor wrestling just cannot escape tragedy. Even people who weren't wrestlers, even people who just work for the WWE are dying young. Death by association, I suppose. So anyway, rest in peace, Jim Dotson. My condolences go out to your friends and your family. That is going to be about it for this week. My original plan was to not come up next week for the December 20th Monday Night Raw because in my head I was assuming it was going to suck. It was a pre-Christmas Monday Night Raw, which those are never really good. They're Christmas themed. I'm sure Santa Claus will have a fucking match out there and the divas are going to be dressed like slutty elves. All that shit that we see every year. And given how bad Raw has been in the past few weeks, I was expecting to completely skip this Monday Night Raw and not even watch the thing. But now, after what we've seen, with Roman Reigns winning the WWE title and a few loose ends needed to be tied up storyline-wise, as far as the main event picture goes, it's going to be worth tuning in next Monday night. So I may or may not be up here with a commentary. It just depends on the show. If Raw is a letdown from this past week and not nearly as good and lackluster, I'm going to skip a review because I'm trying to work on the year-end commentary that'll be up in a few weeks. where I'm going to be discussing the entire year of 2015 and answering a lot of fan questions as well. So I'm trying to work on that. So next week's commentary and a Raw review is up in the air. So you may not hear from me until right after the Christmas holiday. I think I'll have one video up other than my year-end video. I'm sure I'll have something up before then. But really, I think I'm probably down to 2 more videos this year, and that's it. Can't believe we're about to wrap up another one here on the Good Mike Work channel. Going into my 6th year now. Fucking unbelievable. Anyway, I got to get out of here. You guys take care. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in a week or two with some more thoughts and opinions on what's going on in WWE. Until next time, peace.